my set of tuning forks so we can get exactly the right tones for our organs. Okay, so my headphone should be on. Good. Okay, so for those guys who haven't been to this class before, the format's very simple. We're just going to do 15 minutes of warm-up. So if you're not someone who can do the warm-up exercises, then that's no problem at all. You can easily just sit and just imagine yourself working through the warm-up exercises. I'll address that point in a moment. So you can either sit, lie down and listen, or stand with feet shoulder width apart. The knees just a tiny little bit bent, so it just feels like your tailbone is sinking down towards the ground. Still a nice long straight body though, with the arms hanging down by the sides. Okay, so when we do our warm-up exercise, we just begin very slowly, especially on a cold day like this. We just turn gently to one side and look back over the shoulders, and then come back to the other side and do the same. And so as you do these gentle turns at the beginning, you can just assess how your back is, how your hips are, how your shoulders are. If there's anything that feels uncomfortable, you need to be wary of. And then we just free the waist and allow the hands to gently tap onto the body. Okay, so this exercise can easily be done just facing forwards and just having your arms move, but we're really trying to get the hips and the whole of the waist to shift from side to side. So there's this instruction that I sometimes use, which is not exactly correct, but it gives a better idea. Imagine your belly button moving across to one hip and then moving across to the other hip. And that gets that sort of central movement moving. We're not actually moving with our concentration on the belly button, however. We're moving with our concentration deep inside the very core of your body and feeling the core of the body turn from side to side, which then allows the spine to turn, which then gets your shoulders, elbows, wrists moving. But as you can feel, this whole movement also just has a tiny effect on the hips, small movement in the knees, even a small movement in the ankles. We're going to engage the neck a little bit more in a moment. So just carry on like this. Open up the palms of the hands and just let the palm of the hand slap gently onto the side of the body. You'll feel as you turn that your wrists are just tapping onto the small of the back. You can kind of adjust that contact point and just lift your wrist up a little bit higher so that it just strikes onto the base of your kidney. So you can just choose whatever you wish to do, or you can do a selection. You can just allow it to hit the small of the back, which is a really fundamental point, but you can also allow it to hit the base of the kidneys, which are also important. So in Chinese medicine, kidneys are seen as being I would say, the batteries of our life. And so when your batteries run out, so does your life. It's rather an unpleasant thing to say, but it is kind of like that. It's like I think their epithet is the hourglass of our lives. And so we keep our kidneys strong just by tapping on them, just by giving them a nice gentle tap, and that'll keep them feeling young and healthy as you send a vibration of qi through your kidneys. But also, we're just letting the hand come round on both sides and tap onto the side of the body. And in so doing, you're letting your forearm fall across your spleen and across your liver. All of those organs get a nice little thump, sends a vibration through them, wakes them up. Wakes up the spine, wakes up the shoulders, elbows, wrists. You know, what more could you ask for in the morning? It's the perfect exercise. So this is how I start my day every day, is with this warm-up set. So I've done my warm-up set already. Now I'm doing my lesson, but I spend probably about, I don't know, half an hour every morning. Before I speak to anybody, before I do anything, I do my warm-up set. Before I switch on a telephone, switch on a computer, you know, I make sure I do this first, and it sets me up for the day. So I do my warm-up set, as we're going to do here, and then I do a variation on a few little exercises, you know, depending on what I think my body needs. I just pick and choose from a library in my head. So sometimes I'll do bow body, which is a really good exercise from our body mindset. Sometimes I'll do swirl hips. At the moment, I'm doing a lot of squatting. Squatting is an exercise Dr. Pang teaches, which is a very effective exercise for the back and for the kidneys, for the spine, for the brain. Okay, so let's incorporate the second part of this exercise just by looking back over our shoulders. So now you can just gently move your head in unison with the turn and just stretch the neck a little bit further. So we've kind of acclimatized the spine and then we acclimatize the neck. So gently work into that. And just as a point, I would say that sometimes that part of it makes you feel quite dizzy. If you feel lightheaded or wobbly, you can always sit down. But there's another way of balancing yourself out as well. Feel into your toes. Put your mind in your big toes. Just feel the connection from your big toes into the earth. Feel the connection from the next toe along. May or may not be called the index toe. Feel down to the middle toes and squeeze the middle toes against the ground and see how they feel. Squeeze ring toe, little toes, and make that contact point. Put your mind in it. Try and experience the space between your toes and the ground. And then just behind the ball of the foot is another acupuncture point toward the center of the foot, which is called Yongquan, the kidney point. And we can imagine putting roots down through Yongquan into the ground. So as you bend your knees, the weight shifts gently forward into the front of the foot. And you can just imagine as you feel that weight just on the ball of the foot, you can then root yourself downwards. And all of that thought process comes under the heading Yi-Dao, Qi-Dao, where the mind moves, the Qi follows. And so Qi goes from your head down towards your feet and balances the body out. A few more turns, nice, long, gentle, opening turns. Very good. And then let's just let them, whole thing slow down, slow down, slow down, until eventually it comes to a stop. Let's plug the hands into the earth, lift a ball of Qi up. And then gently draw this ball of Qi down, down through the top of the head, down into the center of the head, all the way down into the center of the chest. Now the Qi to flow down the legs, back into the ground. So we create this kind of circuit. Lift Qi up, and then we're going to pour the Qi down. First of all, focusing on the head, imagining all the Qi going into the head, and then moving it from the head deep into the center of the chest, and moving it from the center of the chest deep into the center of the belly where we store our Qi. And then we can just release the hands and let the Qi flow back down the legs into the earth. So we're bringing our focus to the lower energy field. It's called lower Dantian. That's ultimately where we're kind of aiming for. And we just draw the Qi through the body and we focus everything deep inside behind the belly button. We just pause for just a fraction of a second and then let the hands flow the Qi down. So it's just this most minute pause as we just kind of locate the Qi inside and then we just let the Qi flow. Okay, I don't know. If you want to keep going with that, there's never a problem. If you suddenly feel dizzy and you feel like you want to do it, 20 times, there's really no problem with that because the most important thing is you bring yourself back into balance. So sometimes you find that you suddenly, you could have been doing Qigong for a year and nothing has turned up, as it were. And then suddenly one day, a Qi changes in your body, flows in your body. And you have this moment where you suddenly think, whoa, hang on a minute, what's going on here? And that's the time when you should just gather Qi and draw it back down again. And just do it as many times as you wish. Let's do some simple forward and back bends just to release the spine a bit further. So we can just lift the hands up into the air one more time and stretch up. And so you get your arms beside your ears and try and keep them beside your ears as you tip over the neck. So it's just arms and ears going over, the rest of the body stays straight. When the arms are parallel to the ground, that's when we can start to bend into the upper back, start to bend into the middle back, start to bend into the lower back, and just see where your back will take you to today. Keep the knees soft, let the body hang. Nice and easy, just relaxed. You
You can tuck the tummy in a tiny bit and back of the neck. Give it up as much as you can. Okay, so we split our foot into 4 pieces. First of all, we stretch towards the toes and then we release. Imagine a line that's drawn between the roots of your toes. So stretch towards that line and release. Imagine a line that's drawn between your insteps, gradually getting a little bit deeper with each bend and release. And eventually back towards the heels, nice deep bend. And let the body hang and relax. To get ourselves standing upright, we've got the device that we use. You lift the tailbone to point it up into the blue sky behind you, and then you swing the tailbone towards the front of the body, start to roll the spine up vertebra by vertebra. Then we try and join our arms and ears together and try and bring those up as one piece, which adds a kind of extra kind of cantilever stretch. Take yourself up to full height. And then when you get to full height, just let the knees and hips gently drift forward as you lean back. Stretch up and gently lean back. Stretch up and gently lean back. Stretch up and gently lean back. Great. Hands up into the blue sky. Let's do some side bends with this then. So just let your left hand curl down towards the back of your left knee. Open the right side of the body gently up. Down on the right hand side. Open up on the left. Down on the left. And down on the right. Good. Draw the hands up into the blue sky. So that's one whole rotation through. We'll do that another 3 times. So stretch up into the blue sky. Try and coordinate the arms and the ears together. And then arch the upper back, arch the middle back, arch the lower back, and work your way down. Soft knees again this time. Back of the neck hangs down. Whole body relaxes and hangs. Okay, stretching towards the toes. And release. Towards the roots of your toes. Release. Level with the insteps. And release. Back toward the heels. Release, relax, body hangs. Tailbone points up behind into the blue sky. Tailbone swings to the front of the body and the spine slowly assembles. Arms and ears gather as one piece as we slowly draw ourselves up into the blue sky and stretch up. Knees and hips drift forward as you lean back. Stretching up and gently back. Up and gently back. Up and gently back. Great. Hands up into the blue sky. Curling down on the left-hand side, allow the right side of the body to gently open. Feel the stretch on your liver on the right-hand side. And then down on the right, you can squeeze the liver. So the liver is the springtime element. We'll see more about that later. Down on the left, and feel the liver stretch open. Down on the right, gently squeezing the liver. It's a bit like squeezing a sponge, and you let it go and it kind of springs back into shape. Lift the hands up, stretch up into the blue sky. Great, so we're going to run through this exercise again, but this time let's try and do it with straight legs. That'll give you a bit more of a hamstring stretch. So if you can, keep the legs straight, tip over the arms and the ears alone, and then work into the upper back, into the middle back, into the lower back. If you can keep the legs straight, that's great. If not, you could always unlock them, but try, and then just let the body hang. And as we hang here, we can just shift the weight a tiny bit forward into the toes. That'll feel a bit more of the hamstring stretch there. Body just hangs and relaxes. Tummy's tucked in. Okay, so again, extend towards the toes and release. In line with the roots of the toes and release. Back toward the insteps and release. Back toward the heels. Release and relax, body hangs. Tailbone lifts up behind. Tailbone pushes to the front. Spine gently rolls up. Head, arms, and ears gently roll up. Body stretches up. Blue sky chi. Knees and hips drift gently forwards. Lean back. Up. And lean back. Up. And gently back. Up. And gently back. Great. Hands up into the blue sky. Left hand curls down. Right hand opens up. Down the right. Open the left. Down the left. And down the right. Good. Stretch the hands up into the blue sky. Last time through the process then. So we're stretching up. Arms and ears only. Upper back, middle back, lower back. Legs stay straight. Lock the knees back and let the body hang. Shift the weight softly forward to the toes. Body relaxes and hangs. Good. So extending softly towards the toes and release. In line with the roots of the toes. Release. In line with the insteps. Release. Back toward the heels. Release, relax, body hangs. Tailbone lifts behind. Tailbone pushes to the front. Spine rolls up. Head, arms, and ears gather as one. Gently up. Stretch up. Release knees and hips forward as you lean back. Stretch up and gently back. Stretch up and back. Stretch up and gently back. Hands up into the blue sky. So allow the left hand to drift down. Open the right side of the body. Allow the right hand to drift down. Opening on the left. On the left. And on the right. Stretch up into the blue sky. And just let your hands drift gently down. I'm just going to gather chi. So put the hands into the earth and gently lift the chi up. And we just let the chi pour down through the body. So when you've been forward bent, sometimes that makes you feel dizzy too. So draw the hands deep into this core of your body. Then release the hands and let them flow. Gather again. And pull. And draw.
Draw chi deep inside. Last time. Gently pour the chi through the body, allowing the whole of your body to gather chi deep into the belly. Hands relax, chi flows down. And then let's just gather one more time, but this time we're just going to land our hands on the belly. So gather, lift up. Pour down through the body. Draw the chi deep inside. And then bring the hands to settle on the belly. So traditionally it would be left hand first for guys, right hand first for ladies, but actually I think it's more important to find out what your body wants to do today. So sometimes you might feel that you want to use left hand, and then some other times just go whatever you've done naturally, just go with that. Let the hands settle on the belly button. Let the chi flow deep inside. So today we're going to work with Dr. Pang's 5 organ healing sounds. So what we're going to do is stand and make these healing sounds. But clearly, if you feel that you'd rather sit, that's no problem. Or to lie down, that's no problem. It can be done in any posture. So if you can stand, that's great, because the standing posture is a sort of an energy gathering posture. So if you've been lacking in chi, let's say, or exactly that, lacking in chi. If your chi levels have been low, tired, exhausted, all that sort of stuff, then getting a standing habit is a great thing to do. It's difficult, sometimes it feels like your feet are on fire, or sometimes it feels like your back's hurting or whatever, but there's always little strategies that you can do. So you can move your feet around a little bit just to sort of get the blood flowing. That's never a problem. If your back is sore, sometimes if you feel a pain between your shoulder blades, you can just sort of lift up the center of your chest a tiny bit and suddenly the pain goes away. If you find a pain in your lower back, just move your tailbone forwards a fraction. If you find your pain in your neck, just sort of tuck your chin slightly in. So don't be afraid to try and adjust your posture to see if that will help. So the thing to do with standing is to try and stand as long as you can. And then when you get to the sort of moment where you think, oh, I've got to sit down, just try making a few minor adjustments to your stance to see if you can last a few more minutes, and then see how you are. So just think to yourself, right, okay, well, look, I'm just going to stand for 2 more minutes. And very often what happens is you get past the point and you suddenly find you can continue without having to sit down. But don't break yourself. Don't make yourself unhappy. And so you can always sit and then, stand for a few minutes longer next time. So it's just about building up your stamina. I think it's good to mention Madame Wang. Madame Wang was a fantastic lady that I met in Hainan about 2 or 3 years ago. Madame Wang, when I met her, must have been about 70, I suppose, but when she was in her, no, maybe she was in the mid-60s. When I met her, she was in her sort of mid-60s, but 10 years before that, she'd had breast cancer, and she'd gone to Jianxi, my friend in Hainan, and they'd spent weeks working on her breast cancer, and she'd managed to cure herself. And then she went straight back to work and straight back into the same lifestyle. She was a high-powered businesswoman. I think she was working for Land Rover or Jaguar, possibly the both of them. And she was in a stressful job. And so she didn't acknowledge the fact that the stress was what has given her the cancer. And so she just went straight back to the same thing. And then about 5, 6 years later, no real surprise, her breast cancer came back. So when I met her, she'd gone to Hainan about 3 years beforehand. She'd given up her work and she just decided to stay at Jianxi's center and become a teacher. But that 3 years ago, when she'd kind of like arrived at the center and said, my breast cancer's come back, he then said, okay, what do you want to do? And she said, I really enjoy standing Qigong. And he said, okay, so all you need to do is just stand and imagine yourself completely healed. Imagine yourself at one with the universe around you, everything flowing well, and that your breast cancer's completely gone, disappeared. And she said, okay. And so Madame Wang got into the habit of standing for 2 hours every morning. And so breakfast was at 8:30, I think. What used to happen was at 6:30 she'd be in the practice room standing, and at 8:30 the gong would go, and she'd just, sort of wake up gently and move down to breakfast. And then in the afternoons, about 4:30 she'd start standing, and about 6 o'clock the dinner, or 6:30 the dinner bell would go, and she'd go off and have her dinner. And that was it. Her practice was just profoundly deep, incredibly strong. She did nothing but stand in a deep, quiet state, feeling that everything was healed and good. And of course, the idea behind standing is that you gently bend your knees and the chi flows, gushes up your legs into your body. You straighten your spine and push the top of the head gently up into the blue sky. Blue sky chi pours down into your body. And then you relax your mind. And then suddenly we have this opening where, because you're no longer, um, you know, forcing your mind to do some gymnastics, worrying about something, thinking about something, chewing over a problem. Your mind settles into a quiet space, and then the body starts to heal. It just relaxes into the chi field around it. So that's why we have Dr. Pang's 8 phrases. So Dr. Pang's 8 phrases speak exactly of this. And I feel inspired to sing you Dr. Pang's 8 phrases this morning. So it goes like this. Ding tian li di, ding song yi chong, wai jing ne ji, shen qiang mao kong. 一念不起，神就太空，真与交替，就生融融。就生荣荣，就生荣荣。Imagine the earth below, chi flowing up into your body. Imagine the heavens above, chi flowing down into your body. Let your body relax. Let your mind quieten. Take up a humble stance. Body is soft. As we do this, the chi flows through our body. Let the mind flow through the body too. Imagine where it is that you wish to work today. Sending chi to that area. Sending your healing intention to that area of your body. And then allow the mind to gently relax out into the chi field around you. Feel your chi room. Feel your chi blue sky. Out into the blue sky. Gently draw yourself back into the body. Feel your body. Perfect working order. Everything working well. Whole body relaxed and open. Ready for our practice. But also feel the connection between us. Albeit via Zoom. In Qigong we say, no time, no space. We're connected way beyond an internet connection. We're connected deeply. We're in the chi field together, practicing as one. I support you. You support me. We support all the other Zheneng classes around the world. Millions upon millions of people doing the same thing as you right now. In the chi field with Dr. Pang, all the other teachers, all the millions of students. all connected together, supporting each other. Your chi family. So in this really connected way, we're going to begin our 5 organs. Okay, so in the Chinese system, we have 5 organs, being liver for springtime, heart for summertime. There's a late summer, the Chinese acknowledge. Late summer is your spleen. Then we move on to autumn for your lungs and winter for your kidneys. So 5 organs, 5 seasons, 5 colours, 5 sets of tones. The idea is that Dr. Pang has developed these tones to vibrate each of the organs. And as I mentioned, when I used to study medical Qigong before Zheneng Qigong, we had what was called the 6 sacred sounds, 5 for the organs and 1 to kind of like envelop everything at the end. Well, Dr. Pang has taken exactly that and has refined it. He's taken each of the 5 sounds and he's broken them up into 3 separate sounds. So now we have 3 sounds for the liver, 3 for the heart, 3 for the etc., etc. And they work on a Jing, Qi, and Shen level. So if you know your Chinese medicine, your Qigong, you know that Qing is kind of the base energy of your body. Qi we talk about, it's a slight differentiation, but basic Qi as we know it. Shen means spirit. So you're working on all aspects of your organ. So we work on the physicality of the liver, then we work on the energy of the liver, and then if you like, the emotions, the sort of spirit of the liver in Chinese thinking, by using 3 tones. And then at the end, there's 1 tone extra. So he has 6 tones as well, which kind of envelops everything. So through my research work, I've also found various notes that work with each of these 5 organs. And hence, now you see why I have a set of tuning forks, because we can get very precise with this healing. So you may look outside and wonder if it truly is springtime, but officially springtime starts on the 8th of February in Chinese culture, as it were. That's after the full moon, the lunar festival they have, the new year, and then we move on to springtime. And of course, spring doesn't start till the 20th of March in the British calendar, but that's because we've only got 4 seasons. Poor us, we're missing an extra season. We call it Indian summer, but we just don't put it officially into the calendar. So our springtime element is liver. When we think about the liver, we think about the right-hand side of the body, just under the ribs. You can gently massage your liver. You can just let your hands circle around, squeezing the liver, massaging. The liver's element would be green. Hence you see me dressed in green today, just to underline that fact, to give my liver a bit of extra energy, as it were. So wearing some green during springtime is never a bad idea. So the liver is all about anger. So we can get very perturbed in springtime. Witness the spring offensive in the Ukraine war. Shame, but there we are. People get angry in springtime and they have no idea why. But also springtime is about new shoots pushing up. It's about new energy coming through. So in springtime, things, the exact word is thrust forwards, thrust upwards. Think of shoots coming out through the earth and your tulips arriving. What a fight they must have to get through the earth. And eventually the tulip arrives, the snowdrop, the daffodil. So also, what we're hoping to do here is to get the anger to fade away. And as soon as you can get your anger under control and fade away, then your compassion and your kindness can come through. Okay, so we've got a curious tone for the liver. It starts off with a kind of spitting noise, tu, T-U. So you say tu, tu, tu in one breath. You let that whole breath go through, tu, 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 tu. And then you take a second breath in, and then you say Jew, J-E-W, Ling, L-I-N-G. Juling, Juling. To an E. So E, Juling. An E makes your liver vibrate. And when you say the to part of it, your diaphragm jumps up and down. And as your diaphragm jumps up and down, the liver gets a little jump as well. So what to do with the hands? Okay, so I'm just going to check my notes because it's a very, very refined. Okay, so it'd be the tip of the index finger for the liver. So the liver and the large intestine channel flow through thumb and finger. So you could actually really amp this up by squeezing the tip of your of your index finger. So if you were to do the tones, Juling, holding this finger, that would be increasing the power of this exercise. So there's every little sort of thing we can put into it. We think about the color green, gently sort of glowing in the liver, like a springtime grassy green, new shoots, new leaves, your liver green. We say Juling, we make the liver vibrate. We hold the index finger. We could, work half on one side, half on the other side, or you could massage the liver instead. Whatever feels right. So we can add all of these things, and we can use the chord of E to make it even more precise. So, but if you can't hold a note very well, then who cares about that? Just do whatever suits you, the noise that sounds right. I suppose the last refinement I made is that sometimes I find myself singing in my head voice, up here, but then also down here, Juling. So for me, Juling, the sort of the lower chest tone sounds better for the liver, and sometimes I think maybe the lung tone I find myself up in the head, as it were, upper chest. So I'm just going to place my hands on my liver, and I'm going to say two two two, and then Ju Ling, and we'll go through that about 6, 7 times, something like that. We can go do a few more for the springtime because this is when the liver is most required to do its work. Okay, so take a breath in, and we'll say two. So breathe in. Till you run out of breath. The next tone is split into two, so you make the one breath, two tones, Juling. Okay, so we find that there's an NG on the end of ling. NG. It almost feels like the G is kind of like a, and then it comes curling backwards in the shape of the letter G. It's almost like it goes out and it curls back into your body. So you end up almost like a hum at the end. NG inside. Okay, so let's start with two again. Two, breathe in. Two, 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 two. Breathe in. For Juling. Back to two. Breathing in. Juling. Breathing in for two. Breathing in for Juling. for 2. Breathing in for Juling. Just do a couple more rounds just to give the liver an extra boost. Breathing in for 2. Breathing in. One more time. And again, breathing in. Gently massage the liver. Imagine all anger subsiding. Kindness and compassion come to the forefront. Okay. And then just let the hands gently drift down. So there's this tone, ing, ng. So we had ling. So le opens up the inside of your mouth to make the sound. The lips don't necessarily need to open, but you feel the back of the mouth open up. Le, and you feel sort of, I suppose this maybe the soft palate lift and the tongue drop down. You have space inside your mouth for le. But as you get to ng, you feel the whole of the mouth kind of gently closing inside. I think maybe the tongue lifts up a bit, soft palate drops down. I don't really know much about the mechanics of the voice, but I'm just thinking there's sort of a closing in the voice and then this humming. So if you try humming ng, you'll feel that your mouth is really quite closed inside. If you say ling, li, it's quite open. So you move from this kind of open mouth, ling, to everything kind of closed inside. And we'll find this ng all the way through this set. Okay, good. Let's move to the heart. So we move from springtime to summertime. Heart, red, fire, unsurprisingly, and love being one of the elements of it. But there's another aspect to it as well, that we find that some people who have a stutter, it's a problem with the heart. And also speech impediments of any sort is a problem with the heart. But also there's another aspect to it. People who you might describe, it's quite an old-fashioned way to describe them as being a bit giddy. Oh, my giddy aunt. Yes, a bit giddy. So a bit sort of like, unstable, instability, I suppose. And so what we're looking about is this kind of instability of mind, instability of speech, instability perhaps even of the body. But there's another aspect to that as well, which is just to explain to you that the heart and the mind in Chinese medicine are seen as one organ. So when you work on your heart, you're working on the quality of your mind as well. You're working on healing your mind as well as healing your heart. So when you look at the word in Chinese, the script, the character for heart, it has this aspect of heart and mind combined in it. And so we're talking about heart, we're thinking heart and mind, and we're thinking about this giddiness and instability clearing, and love and openness. So this idea of opening the heart as well, openness and happiness arriving. So we sing to our hearts. That's a good question I've often wondered about. Do we sing to our hearts? Are we singing from our hearts? never really, don't bother, don't worry about it. But, perhaps you might think about yourself, the voice making the heart vibrate, or perhaps the heart is making the voice vibrate. Whatever the case with that, is beautiful, something nice to mull over. So one's heart vibrates to the tone of G, would you believe? Okay. So there are three heart tones, three breaths, three tones. It's the only one that has its own special tone. Well, they all have their special tones. It's the only one where it's split into three pieces. And the reason for that is that our tones should really be quite solid for the first tone, medium for the second tone, and the third tone should really be quite gentle. The first tone is dealing with the physicality of the heart, the pericardium, the valves, blah, blah, blah. The second one is dealing with the sort of chi energy that makes the heart flow. And the third one is dealing with the emotions such as love. And so the third tone, which in this case is Shing, S-H-I-N-G, is very gentle. It's just Shing. Whereas the first tone, which is Shin, sounds like your shin, is a bit more forceful. Shin. Don't want to do that. Shin. Yeah. Shin. The middle tone, she, ang. It's got that same ng on the end. She. Final tone, shing. She. Shing is very delicate, gentle, just works with love. Okay, so Shin, Xiang, Xing. Heart, that should be your little finger. It is indeed. Oh, hang on, that's strange. So the heart tone is the middle finger. That doesn't relate to the normal acupuncture channels and things like that. So if you fancy holding the middle finger, squeezing the middle finger, you can do that. Squeezing onto that. I think it works in a kind of, yeah, I'll think about that. I'll think about that right now. I think the way we work the five elements. Yep. Okay. So you can work out the five elements by thinking about a campfire, would you believe? And so if you turn your palm away from you like that, this represents earth. And then on top of the earth, we have the wood to make our fire. We light our fire. We have our, we light our fire. We have fire. Then we have a pot sitting on top, which is metal, and we have water in the pot steaming. So you can tell your five elements on the fingers by using this idea. And so we've got to the middle finger now, which is us using fire, which is the heart. Sorry, just had to have a bit of a recap there from something from 20 years ago. Okay. So you could squeeze your fingertips and the middle fingers to generate energy from the heart. You could just rest the hands on the heart. Sometimes it's nice just to have the hands in front of the heart, gently kind of, glowing chi back towards your heart. Whatever feels right for you. Okay, so the three tones, I'll speak them before we have to say them so you don't have to remember. But the first one is Shin. So take a gentle breath in for Shin. Shin. Slightly more gentle, Xiang. A very gentle tone, Xing. Back to the beginning, Shin. Gentle breath in for Xiang. Final tone Shin. Xing, sorry. A little bit more gusto for Shin, breathing in. Shin. Xiang. Gentle tone for Shin. Xing. Xing. Twice more around the whole thing. Shin first. Shin. Xiang. Xing. Last time round. Shin. Xiang. Final tone for Xing. Gently massage the heart. Feel love and openness in your heart. Feel happiness deep inside. Very good. Let the hands relax down. So the next on our agenda would be the spleen. The spleen is C, and I think there's something very fitting about the spleen being C. C being the kind of the basic note of the middle note of an octave and things like that. And C for the spleen also the spleen represents the earth. And so often you see the 5 elements laid out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a circle, but sometimes you see them laid out north, south, east, west, and the center is spleen, is C, is the earth. And I think that's really sort of fitting. It seems absolutely right for the center to be the earth. And so we use the spleen tones. Okay, so the first 2 tones for the spleen are in one breath. So we take one breath in, we say gang, G-A-N-G, gang, and that gently melts into foo, F-U. So gang, foo is the first tone. And then we take a breath in and we say Jong. That's Z-H-O-N-G in pinyin. Sometimes we sort of see it in the name Django, DJ. Jong, de, ong. So it's gang, fu, Jong. Your spleen sits on the left-hand side. The color that works really well for the spleen is harvest time. It's crusty bread, it's corn, it's olive oil, it's honey, it's all of those kind of tones, and they're all about the spleen. The spleen's all about sweetness. So you can massage your spleen on the left-hand side. So a spleen person is someone who worries, someone who likes to ruminate over things, someone who's constantly sort of chewing over problems. So if you're constantly chewing over problems, it makes you very difficult. It makes it very difficult for you to trust people because you think, can I trust this person? No, wait a minute, let me think about that. What happens if this? What happens if that? What blah, 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 rather than just saying, yes, I can trust that person, or no, I can't. And so the spleen helps with these decisions. If you find you're someone who, harking back to my Scottishness, havers, someone who havers, you can't make your mind up one way or the other, and you're not sure, constantly thinking, constantly worrying that something will go wrong, then spleen is slightly out of balance. So we can bring it back a balance by saying gang fu jong. The spleen would be your thumb, so you can squeeze the tip of your thumb. You could also hold your thumb while you're doing it. You can hold both thumbs. You could change halfway through. If the hand postures work for you, then why not? Or alternatively, just holding the spleen is something you could do as well. Spleen on the left-hand side sits just kind of underneath the ribs. Okay, so spleen, gang fu jong. All of your trust starts to well up inside, and all of the worries just melt away as we use our spleen tones. Gang, fu, and jong. Okay, let's take a breath in. Gang, fu, jong. Take a breath in for gang, fu. Gang, fu. Breath in for jong. So because the spleen sits low, I've lowered myself an octave. It feels like it's likely to vibrate the spleen a little bit better. Breathe in for gang and fu. Gang, fu. Breathe in for jong. Jong. Breathing in. Gang, fu. Breathing in for jong. Last time, gang. Gang, fu. Jong. Okay, set the hands gently down. I'm sorry, I'm taking a bit of a liberty with your time today, but if you have to rush off, I'm not sure where you might be going on a snow day, but if you have to rush off and play in the snow, that's fine. It'll always be recorded and online. So our spleen, we move from this late summer period into lungs, which is autumn time. So autumn time in the lungs, the tone for the lungs is it also it has a kind of like an odd um, tone in the middle of it. If you remember back to the liver one, so it has its first tone is sang. So sang, not it sounds it's quite good because it's like the word sang, and the final tone is song. So sang and song, quite easy to remember that. But the middle tone is curious, and I can only describe it to you as when you're drinking a milkshake and a bit of something gets stuck in the end of the straw, and you get that kind of moment where you're sucking, and then you can't suck anymore. And so what we do with the middle tone is we use s, hissing like a snake, out, s, and then in, s, s. And what happens there is the s vibrates the little alveoli inside the lungs. The little tips of your lungs vibrate with s, and then as you sip, they all kind of bounce. And so it's the same idea of jumping the liver, jumping the kidneys, we'll see later. So we stimulate our lungs by using the tone. It's a D for the lungs, I think. Let me have a look. Okay, so D. So it's sang. Let me take a breath in, then we do the strange. Then we take another breath. Oh no, sorry, we don't. We go, and then we go, song, curling inside. So sang, song. So one breath for sang, one breath for song. Okay, so talk about lungs then. The emotions of the lungs, probably the heaviest of them all. So they're taught in medical Qigong as guilt, grief, sadness, shame, sorrow. Deep inside your lungs, stopping your lungs from functioning. So the more we lighten grief, guilt, sadness, shame, sorrow, the more that we allow our honesty and our integrity to kind of arise. So deep inside, we have this kind of anxiety, this kind of sadness inside. And what happens is that it becomes very difficult for people to play a straight game, to become a solid team player. So you can imagine, and I'm sure we've all been into the situations of grief, where you become unreliable because you're just unable to function. You're just able to kind of carry on and see things through. You don't have the to get you through because you're just feeling such grief, such sorrow in your body. So that's classified as honesty and integrity. But integrity means wholeness, doesn't it? And it means that you're not quite whole. You've lost something. And yeah, so I suppose that the chronic version of that is someone who's just dishonest, someone who is a kind of a crook or a criminal or something like that. And we have to wonder why those things happen to those people. Why do you end up being, a criminal or a crook? And perhaps it's just because of sadness in your family, sadness in your upbringing, sadness in your society that, makes it not possible for you to be an integral part of it, an integral person. So we use the lung tones, which is sang, song, to help heal our lungs. And the more we get rid of the grief and guilt and shame, sadness, sorrow, the more that we become an integral person. Sang. Take a breath in for sang. Do you want to rub the lungs or hold the hands in front of them? Or just put the hands on the belly and think about the lungs. And this is a case where we could also just hold our little finger. Is that right? Have we gone down to the little finger? No, it's not. I got it wrong again. It's the ring finger. You could hold the ring finger instead of having your hands in front. So if you wanted to squeeze the ring finger, oh, that's interesting. Thumb against ring finger, that might work. We could use these as mudras, couldn't we? So thumb squeezing against the little finger, or just have the hands in front. Ring finger, sorry. Sang. Let's breathe in for sang. Sip song. So breathe in. Breath in for sang. Song. Breathe in. Sang, sip, song. Breathe in. Sip, song. Breathe in. Try a small round. Give the lungs a little bit extra. Breathing in for sang. Breathing in for sip, song. Last time round. Breathing in. Gently rub the lungs. Feel honesty and integrity, the wholeness arising as your guilt, grief, shame, sadness, sorrow drain away, lifting you. Great. Let the hands relax down. And the final tone, having come round our seasons from the autumn of the lungs into the winter of the kidneys, just moved out of that, but it's still a good idea to give your kidneys a little extra boost, because kidneys really the building block of our lives. So if we boost our kidneys, we get a better, a better old age, I suppose, would be the answer to that. So the kidneys like the tone A. They've got a very strange sound, the kidneys. They start with you kind of coughing out a tone. Sounds bizarre, doesn't it? So it's almost like the English expression EH exclamation mark. Eh, 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 eh. So you kind of almost cough. And as you cough, your kidneys gently bounce up and down. So they're getting a little sort of bounce on the trampoline of your diaphragm while you say, and then we say, you and ying, you, as in Y-O-U, but it's actually Y-U, and then ying, Y-I-N-G, you and ying. You, ying, you, ying. I think I might go lower, you, ying. Okay, so, and then you and ying. So is one breath, and then you and ying is another breath. So what about the emotions behind your kidneys? Fear. Fear as in, rather than the kind of aspect of heart, which is anxiety, and rather than the aspect of spleen, which is worry, what we're talking about here is just abject fear. Abject fear that your child will walk out and get hit by a bus. You've got no reason to believe it's going to happen, but you just feel worried about it. It's like the sort of what are they called? Laurel and Hardy, where you're walking along the street and a piano drops out of a six-story building on top of you. You know, it's not that. It's that kind of irrational fear that you can't control. I'm worried about going to France because of the, oh, what might happen and all this sort of stuff. It's just, there's no basis to the fear. It's just there. Okay, so as we get older, this fear builds as our kidneys get less energetic. So the more we build our kidneys up, the braver and stronger we are. And we all know old people who are just extraordinary, who, you know, I'm off to India, I'm off to, you know, explore South America. And you think, wow. But it's that those are people with strong kidneys. They have no fear. They have the ability to be um, uh, well, it's interesting because I was going to say, yeah, open, but that's much more about the heart. But the kidneys' fear is counterbalanced by knowledge about it's by wisdom, and knowledge and wisdom underpin your ability to go places and do things. And that's it. If you know that that's not going to happen, if you know it's going to be okay, if you're wise enough to get through all of these things, then fear just dissipates. And so we work with ying to get our kidneys going. And the final uh, in this whole story is the little finger, which is kidney, which is water. Okay, so if you want to squeeze your little fingers, you can generate some chi there. And then we're going to say yu and ying, and we're actually going to, I'm going to have my hands on my kidneys, just going to rest them here and just gently massage perhaps. You could also just sit them on your ribs and think about your kidneys because they're just kind of directly behind here anyway. So whatever suits you, or just have your hands in front and imagine chi flowing back inside. This is our last organ. EH exclamation mark. Okay, let's take a breath in and then we're going to say yu ying. Breathe in for eh. Breathe in for yu ying. Feels better to me in a slightly lower tone, so breathe in. Yu Ying. Breathing in. Breathing in. Breathing in for eh. Breathing in for yu ying. Give the kidneys an extra little boost. Two more. Breathing in. Eh. Breathing in. Last time, breathing in for eh. Breathing in, yu ying. Gently massage the kidneys, rubbing softly on them. All of the fear disappears. Your wisdom and knowledge arrives. Innate understanding, I suppose, would be good. Great. Just bring the hands round. We're going to finish off by saying Q-I-N-G. King, ching. It's like a sort of a, I don't know, it's like striking one of those sounding things. Ting, ching. So ching just vibrates the whole body. We say inside to vibrate. So chi is open and then ing gradually goes deeper. Just have your hands wherever you want, perhaps on the belly. We'll do ching half a dozen times. Breathe in. Ching. I may try it a bit lower. Breathe in. Ching. Like the higher tone. Breathe in. Breathing in. Couple more times. Breathing in. Last time. Breathing in. Gently massage round on lower dantian, on your belly. Gently rub the hands round, circling in whatever direction suits you. Just nice and massage, gently inside, focusing your mind deep into lower dantian. Good, and let's just return that in the opposite direction. Holding the chi inside, bringing your practice to an end. Feeling the wholeness of this practice, the completion. Whole body vibrated, all of the organs working well. Just feel that inside. Scan through your body. Feel into your organs. Feel your liver working well. Feel your heart strong, pumping well. Feel your spleen storing, clearing the energy. Feel your lungs totally clarified. Feel your kidneys filtering well, strong, supporting your life function. Lower dantian deep inside, filled with qi. Blood and qi flows well through every aspect of your body. Imagine the qi, you can flow it from lower dantian up your spine into your brain. Illuminate your brain with qi, your neck, your shoulders, all the way down to your fingertips. Illuminate the whole of your spine and your ribs. Imagine the upper torso, middle of your torso, lower torso, then down into the tailbone, down into the pelvis, down into the hips, down into the thighs, down to your knees. Fill your knees with qi, calves, fill your ankles with qi, feet, Achilles filled with qi, the whole of your body overflowing with energy, blood and qi flowing well, all functions of your body returning to perfect working order. Put a big smile on your face. Just imagine as you stand here, you're standing in a beautiful field of qi, totally protected, safe, happy, every cell in your body working well. Imagine your qi body about a meter in front, above, below, back. Just standing in this bubble of chi protects you, connects you. See yourself as a being of light, safe, happy, every cell working well. Big smile. Release the hands to the sides. Open the eyes. Move the fingers, move the toes. Stretch out a little bit if you wish to stretch anything out. Great. Okay, so we need to say howla together. It'd be great if you would unmute yourselves and we could all say howla together. Okay, hands up in the air. 1, 2, howla.
Howla.
1, 2, howla. Last time. 1, 2, howla. Lovely. We make a little Zheneng salute for each other. So you lift your right palm facing upwards, left palm downwards. You gather your fingers together, and then you cinch the ends with your thumbs. So we often know that Buddhists use this kind of prayer position. Taoists use this position, but we have this Zheneng Qigong hand position. Very good. Thank you very much for being here, all of you guys. This class will always be online if you wish to do it again. And thank you for being here. Have a lovely day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.